programs available throughout Indiana. JAG students receive adult mentoring while in school and 1-year follow-up counseling after graduation. Indiana's program consistently graduates approximately 95% of participants, and many students choose to continue their education after high school. The JAG program is funded through grants provided by the Indiana Department of Workforce Development. Tonight, Carrie Kepshaw and Craig Leach are here to kind of present to us. If I didn't sum up your entire presentation, and reading that, as I'm reading that, I'm thinking, you're welcome. We'll just take questions.
Yeah, we're done. Yeah. So we
Thank
were
you.
kind of approached by JAG because they were looking, the governor expanded and wanted to get to 250 schools in the state of Indiana at last check. And they're going around trying to find schools to get in before they get the 250, and then they're not sure what's going to happen after that. They've assured us that the program is funded and all that kind of stuff, and that it doesn't cost Tipton anything, but it has a lot of resources. Now, you covered a bunch of stuff, but was there additional things that they would do for our kids?
No, basically just a specialist would come in, a JAG specialist, and then we would have say in that hiring process as well. So they would, if it's all approved, they would put out an application. And they said there, his name's Ethan, he's kind of in this area. He would kind of sit through those, pick out 2 or 3 of what looks to be the best on paper, and then bring those in to whoever wants to be on that interview committee. So we do have a say for who's coming in our building. That's going to be a good fit for Tipton. And then essentially that person would, to start out, they're looking at about 20 to 25 students for the pilot spring semester. So we're kind of identifying maybe those in our Achievement Academy, our alternative education students that could use a little extra guidance. Some others, maybe juniors or seniors who have a hole in their schedule that could easily be moved in there. And so they would essentially have one class period on their schedule dedicated to JAG and that career exploration piece. And then we would try to grow that program, build it into their schedule. It's always hard to build it into a schedule on fly, right? So it may be harder to get those 20 in this year, but I think we could do that. But it'll be easier if we know that this is an opportunity we have when we start scheduling our juniors and seniors for next year, if we know this is an opportunity. So this person would roughly 2 sections, that they would be in our building teaching, but then also working with, like they mentioned, a year after they graduate, career, they check in with them, just career exploration possibilities. It is funded through the DWD, so they're trying to meet the high demand jobs that maybe they see a shortage across the state.
And I did, all of the conference principals that kind of talk about JAG and how it fits into some of the graduation pathways and the diploma requirements. So I know a lot of our conference schools are looking at joining. I think this gives us the opportunity to have a semester to kind of, roll it out and see what it's like and get really familiar with the resources and stuff that they're going to offer. And it'll cost to get an instructor in our building. We sat in the meeting with the representative from JAG, and I think I asked 5 separate times, like, this sounds too good to be true. So tell me why it's too good to be true. Like, what kind of things are we signing up for? I think I sent a copy of the MOU, and it's, they're all funded through grants and stuff. So it gives us a person, and it gets our kids some resources. I did want to point out they have selection criteria and social criteria, income and work-related criteria, environmental criteria, personal criteria, and academic criteria that would help with the selection of those students as well. Ours, through the first thing, would be primarily who can we get in there with how their schedules work. But there is like a whole, portion of that too that carries a lot of things with it. So it seems like a good opportunity to try for a semester at least and kind of see where it takes us.
Spring of 25?
Yeah, this coming January.
And that's to get in on this push. They said, if you get in now, then you're guaranteed a spot for the following year. That's what we want to continue. If you don't get in now, other schools might jump on it, and they're just depending on the election and funding and budgeting. They're not sure if that's still going to be an initiative going forward. So, yeah, keep going.
I didn't follow. The person they would provide would just teach one class, so they probably go to other schools. Is that?
They call them specialists. They do look for people who have some education background, but they would be assigned to Tipton and classroom and access to technology, and then just to be part of the staff. So my understanding is we would still be able to give them other duties or
Oh, so they'd be
more
there
like
3 years
mentoring.
full-time.
Right.
Yeah,
Yes, they
that's
would
even
be.
better.
Okay, sorry, I just wasn't, one
Right.
person, one class, okay.
They would
Like Marvin
also go out and investigate internships, and which is a real vital part for us because that's more challenging than anything else for us, our size and everything. The other thing that they'll do is individual field trips. So if you've got a kid that has an interest in X, then they can go see what X looks like out in the field. And so there's all kinds of options there. We had this at Anderson, of course, a different population than here, but it
This
was
JAG
very
program, or-
successful. Yes, we had 2 JAG teachers. It was again a very successful program, and really got a lot of kids out into the workforce, and their success rate was super high. I'm not sure we were 95%, but we weren't very far away from our graduation rate.
When I talked to Tim Show up at Northwestern too, which would be a similar, demographic of the same students we have. He had nothing but great things to say about it as well, and kind of what it looks like. So really next steps is for you guys to review the MOU, and we just need some level of approval so that we can kind of move forward with finding the specialist and working with Ethan, to kind of talk through that so we get the right person.
I just had one on that same, and for our gen rad, there was a mentoring program. So would that be 1v1 or is this teacher their mentor?
The teacher is the mentor.
Okay.
Yes.
For
Yes,
20
well, by mentors, that would be.
And
Yeah.
and one of the things they really push are soft skills, which oftentimes, particularly kids who come from an economic disadvantage, may have some difficulty with the soft skills on how to keep a job, how to be responsible, how to go about doing the just the practice of work. I mean, the kind of things we take for granted.
And Eric, just to mention that a little bit, for the pilot one, just because they're looking at 20 kids, because we have, four class periods a day, I mean, it would just make sense maybe to have 2 sections, so 1 per day. And then the other part, they said there's a ton of paperwork that goes with this program. So when they mentioned it, ideally the specialist is teaching half day, and then the other half day is either meant to go out and form those internships, explore businesses, do the paperwork, or just kind of like check in with their students a little bit. So ideally, once we got this up and running, if it continued, would be 2 class periods.
I don't have any, I think it's great. I
Yeah,
wanted
just
some
like, it
clarification.
does sound
Just-
a little.
I'm with you guys. What's the catch?
Well, exactly. The only thing that I really have a little bit of concern about is the numbers that they want us to have for next year. I'm not sure we have that enough kids. That's my concern. So, and that's just something we're going to have to monitor, and that may be a situation where we have to partner with another school to support the program. And so that's the only downside that I see is just the kind of numbers they want. What is the
We wanted 50 by next year.
Yeah.
Kind of 20-ish this year as we.
and that might be a little challenging with just because of the population of kids that we have. That might be challenging to find. But again, if there's an opportunity where we can partner maybe with Tri-Central or with a Sheridan or with somebody like that, then maybe we could do that.
And then a pilot, do we sign up in the next year after? I mean, I haven't seen the MOU, so is it just for that period of time?
Yes.
And then there's something about their JAG-specific curriculum. Have you, Carrie, seen that curriculum? Is it up to your standards?
Yeah, it is. It's a DOE course number,
Okay.
so it really aligns right along with another course called Career Information and Exploration.
Okay.
So it's just the idea of just that you are getting information about careers. They're going to focus from the DWD standpoint.
Sure.
What are the fastest growing jobs? Where are we going to see a shortage? Projections of where we're going to be in 10 years, those type of things. And probably, I mean, I'm guessing that's the catch, if you will, but why they're providing such a free service is to
Sure.
filter from the
Makes
Department of
sense.
Workforce Development and
Absolutely.
fill that gap.
Smart.
So probably pushing some of those kids into a direction where they see a need. But also, if a kid doesn't want to go in that direction, I think it's not forcing, it's just
Right.
providing an opportunity for exploration. But if they really like this area, something else, they could do that too. So,
Okay.
yeah, they're really similar courses.
So you've seen the curriculum and you're
I've
okay?
not seen the specific curriculum, but I've read the course
Okay,
description.
so you're good with it.
And it sounds
Perfect.
It's kind of like
Thank you.
preparing, we have all of our eighth graders take preparing for college and careers as eighth graders. This is kind of preparing for college and careers on steroids,
Yeah.
I would say. And again, probably the appropriate age for kids to begin to have those conversations. I always feel like that we begin those conversations way too early. I think it has a little more impact the older they get, personally. And there's a possibility that we could have every student take that course. Is that true? And so, that's something that we could consider as well. But again, I don't foresee funding going away because, I mean, with PWD being so engaged with the whole process, I can't imagine, regardless of who would win the election, that funding would go away from that. I just would be very surprised.
That was kind of my question is, do we know at this point, we bring this program in, are we guaranteed, 3 years worth of funding that they'll stay, or is it kind of an indefinite?
There's never a guarantee. But,
Well, you know what I mean, but I
but I
didn't know,
would say,
when we sign,
I-
are we committing to 3
Yeah.
years or
yeah,
they?
no, it's a year to year. It's a year to year. So literally,
And if it was
Um,
any other, it's been
yeah,
around.
right.
Most schools that it's been around,
Yeah.
stayed around and been
Yeah.
successful.
and at one point, I mean, when we were at Anderson, there was a huge need because there was at some point that they were talking about cutting the program, and they're like, "Well, go ahead because we can use these people other places." But again, it's a good program, so it was one that Anderson kept and was a smart thing to do.
They have this in other states as well, is that, it says it's a national nonprofit, but
We
it's
only
state.
talk to Jag and
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, I'm not sure. I'm assuming. Yeah,
Because if it's in a bunch of states, you can have a lot harder time,
Mhm.
if it's successful.
right, right. And like with everything, the advisor has to have that right personality. So that the fact that we get to be part of the process of selecting that person will hopefully help us get that personality that we know will, again, engage kids and make them, listen and be responsible.
Oh, thank you, guys.
Yeah, thank you.
You.
Okay, my understanding, right, is tonight we're approving the pilot program.
It's just a pilot for the
But is this-
remainder of the school year this year.
Right, so without seeing, I'm just curious, so I know, because we referenced an MOU on this program.
It's
Was it include, I can't. open
It
my
was,
laptop,
oh, I'm sorry, it was in the packet, and it's just kind of just a generic, I think they call it a service agreement or
so-
something
Right, I
like
saw
that.
that, I
So
just,
we call it an MOU.
okay,
It's in the board
I did read,
agenda.
I know I reviewed those, I just,
Yeah, and it's just a generic, I think it even like, just says your school here, kind of, so it's not specific yet. And then what they'll do, Ethan from JAG would then go through and put in the details. I mean, probably not gonna be much of a change,
right,
but I would have you guys take a look at it before
Sure.
we made that decision.
I mean, that's been our agenda, everyone interested in this pilot program, and someone to know about it, and information received. Just didn't know if there were any other questions.
And I thank you, for Carrie and Craig to come in and kind of punt for us. Again, I do think it's a good program. I think it's definitely worth consideration. And if we pilot it and it doesn't seem to work out, then there's no obligation to continue. Okay. Along those same topics,
All right, I feel like we need an introduction at this time. The tennis sets are up 1-0.
oh,
Okay, keep going.
yay. Good. That's awesome. All right. This is embargoed information, so I don't know whether you have to, I'm not sure exactly, what happens, but I kind of feel like we need to talk a little bit about this. This change in the diplomas came out in August. And since then, it's kind of been radio silence from the IDOE as far as what's going on with it. I know that according to legislation, there's supposed to be a recommendation by December 1st on what this is going to look like. the way it worked with the first draft is they had the draft out for a while, took a lot of commentary from people, and my assumption was that was going to be the route that this one went through. But again, not knowing exactly what's going on there, I think everybody's equally as baffled about what's happening with this. So I went ahead and made hard copies of it because it's so hard to see. So essentially just kind of talking about, we're pretty used to the Core 40 diploma. It's kind of been the standard here for a bit. And so the future diploma, there's a comparison with what the current Core 40 is and what the new diploma would look like. So obviously with the Core 40, it's a little bit more, I would say, there's more of a script. There's more of a, you take this, you take this, you take this. With the new diploma, they've tried to give some flexibility, which I am fully in support of. For many of years, I've complained, specifically in math, about students, all students passing Algebra 2. Just has never made a whole lot of sense to me, and so I am glad to see that finally addressed. So one of the big differences, so first of all, you have 8 credits in English. So everybody has to take English 9, and then the 5 additional English credits are a little bit ambiguous as far as what those are going to be, because some people that are going into more of that career path will somehow get some of those English credits. So some of this has yet to come out from IDOE. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I think this is what has people a little bit nervous about it, I just to be honest. Again, seven credits with math, so I've gone ahead and added personal finance in with math. So a little bit different from the Core 40, which was 6. Again, 2 credits in Algebra 1, and then 4 additional math credits, which could be a business math, could be more of a basic math. There's some different options in there. Again, IDOE will come out with what those are supposed to look like, hopefully sooner versus later. Biology, that there is an additional credit in science because all students have to take a computer science class. So that's a change from 6 with Core 40. Everyone must take Biology 1, and then you have some flexibility as far as the 4 other credits. Social studies, instead of a requirement that students take a year of U.S. history, a semester of government, and a semester of econ, and then 2 credits are world history, world civilizations, or geography, or history of the world. They are only requiring 5 credits, 2 of which would be U.S. history and then U.S. government. Then you would have 2 elective credits, which would be considered that world perspective. So there's some flexible options, including like advanced placement, some other things that they could take in those places. PE and health, and essentially what's happening there, 2 credits of PE, 1 credit of health. Basically what they're doing, they know that most schools have come up with an alternative PE. So if you're in band, or you're in athletics, or you're in choir, or you're in some of these other activities, then you don't have to take 2 PE classes. So they're recognizing that and taking that into consideration. Directed electives, most of the conspiracy with this is coming from this area. And that is really taking away the requirement for world languages, fine arts, and then career and technical education. So right now there is no requirement in those areas. And then you have personalized electives. Again, this would be an opportunity where you could pick those up, but it's not necessarily prescriptive to the world languages and fine arts, different things like that. And then college and careers, we, again, like we've talked about before, that's a class that all of our 8th graders take, and that would be part of that credit. Also, if we would end up, implementing the JAG program, that would also be one of those credits.
Even they take it as an 8th grader, they get.
Yes, they get high school credit, yes.
New diploma on the right. Is this what they're talking about? Like Purdue would come out and said, we're not accepting that.
Well, the original, yes. So the original that they rolled out before August, most of the major universities in the state were like, this is no good. So they went back and made some good changes. I think that they did do a great job of listening and making sure that we have to have a rigorous diploma and almost kind of and really kind of multiple levels, depending on what you want to do. If you want to go to college, it's got to be rigorous enough to be successful in college. So again, I think they've tried to find some middle ground. So from what I understand, and from what I've heard from most of the people that are in the know, the diploma you see here, the 42 credits, that's pretty much going to happen. And like I said, we'll probably know more as this moves on. If you turn to the next page, they start talking about readiness seals. These would be the add-on after your 42 credits. So this would be in addition to what a student would take after those 42 credits are earned. So obviously enrollment is going to be more focused toward those students who are going to a 4-year college. And you can kind of see where some of those electives fill in, more traditional to what we would have seen with a Core 40 honors diploma. And then also they've added with the enrollment plus, they've added some other areas like an associate's degree, being able to, we are part of the Indiana Core. The idea is for, as students are taking dual credit, they would be able to graduate with a high school diploma plus an associate's degree with a combination of Ivy Tech or IU credit along those lines. Technical certificate, again, the Indiana College Core they mentioned. The AP Scholar with distinction. We do not have a lot of AP classes anymore. We've moved more to the ACP dual credit. And then like an international baccalaureate diploma, which we do not do. So they have to complete at least 100 hours of work-based learning as part of this. And then they have to demonstrate skill development in the following areas: communication, collaboration, and work ethic. You can also see there are some, the score on the SAT has to be a 1250 or a 26 on the ACT. And then there are some other benchmarks up there to get to the honor seal and then to move on to the honor seal plus. Employment. So this is going to look a little bit different. So you're going to earn a market-driven credential. So again, trying to create those opportunities for our students to get certifications. So students that are taking our ag welding class, getting a welding certification as they're moving out of that class. Also with ASE, with our automotive, being able to leave with some of those ASE credits or ASE certifications. Again, the 100 hours of work-based learning, demonstrate skill development, same thing as before, and then meet the attendance goal. The benchmark, the 94% attendance would fall into play here, and that would be a requirement in order to attain that degree. So again, kind of incentivizing a little bit of the attendance in order to get to these levels. And then you have the enlistment and service. This would be for our folks that are interested in going into the military, or going into more of a like a Peace Corps, AmeriCorps, something to those effect. That would be a part of that. You could see that again, the attendance goal is part of that, and there's also some differentiated skills that that they would be looking for with that. Again, if they would go to the plus for enlistment and service, they would have to get a specific score on ASVAB, which is the military entrance exam. And we do have several students who take that exam. If they have to plan to enlist if they do take that exam, as part of a new state law. But again, it just kind of provides some of that flexibility. So again, the SEALs are a little bit in question on what that final draft is going to end up looking like. I know there have been some with the Honors Plus SEAL, the 100 hours of work-based learning has been kind of a question mark, like why is that there? Again, I know that will be, something that will be discussed. Again, the pre-apprenticeships and then the modern youth apprenticeship. Again, these are opportunities where we can leverage JAG to help us with those opportunities. We also have KLR that we can use to leverage those opportunities for those folks that are going straight into employment. So again, it does provide a lot of flexibility. Any questions about any of that? And I'm not sure I'm doing a great job of explaining it, but trying my best.
So this is not official yet?
Nope.
When will they, in the next session?
They're supposed to make a recommendation to the State Board of Education by December 1st.
Be effective for next.
It'll be effective for the incoming freshman class. Feels a little hurried to me, but we'll see what happens. You never know. I did grab some of this information. This is was circulated in a document that I'm on a call on Fridays with superintendents that just kind of talks about the concerns they might have with rigor. Again, this is probably a little slanted. I'm not going to deny that. Okay. So, and really kind of the same questions we have, kind of unclear on what exactly world perspectives means. A lot of ambiguity with what these courses might look like. Are we going to have time to get them implemented? Are we going to be able to get all this going in time for our incoming freshman class? Lots of questions there. The personalized electives, particularly the fine arts people and the world language people are concerned about not having a priority in those two areas. We'll see how that works out. I'm not sure where that's going to go. I know that the State Music Association is kind of all over it. They've been trying to get some feedback to the IDOE about what they would like to see. So again, right now, those doors are not open to give commentary. So the readiness seals, this is essentially just, some concerns about, kind of the hours of work-based learning, particularly in the enrollment honor seal, employment honor seal. I guess I don't really see that so much of a problem with the employment honor seal, but again, just giving you, kind of an idea of where some of the concerns are lying there. And then basically what we've all been talking about, it's not been shared publicly, so please don't, send me to prison because I shared embargoed information, but I just feel like we need to have an understanding of this, particularly if we get to December 1 and this is what we have. We need to kind of be ready to know how we're going to try to implement and do what we need to do. So that's that. Any questions about it?
Is the fear that if I got on the future or whatever the base track is and then decided to go to college, I can't transition? Because that was always a fear before, right?
Yes, and I think that is a fear.
You talked about trying to
Yes.
doing that career class in the 8th grade.
Right, right.
Yeah.
I think there is a concern about that. So you start along this one diploma, and then you decide, hey, I think I want to go to college. You know, how hard is that going to be to transition into that seal diploma or whatever? Now, I think it's doable, probably more doable now than what it has been in the past with, virtual classes, some other things. It's not going to be pretty,
Yeah.
but there's a way to get there. Again, I respect the flexibility, and I think that that's important. So I do respect that they're giving us some flexibility, and there are a couple of things I'd like for them to think a little bit more on. But for the most part, I think it's a whole lot better than the first iteration. So,
Well, I think too, colleges would have to, especially in the state of Indiana, have to be aware of what this looks like, to
Yep.
know that there will be students who might start on one track.
Yep.
Right, and then want to switch and have accommodations for that, because
Sure.
I would hope that most of them would want, students.
Right.
But that, so there would have to be some kind of understanding.
and theoretically, if you're starting with freshmen next year, freshmen are going to take freshman classes. So a lot of what's in that basic, that 42-hour diploma, they're going to be taking those classes anyway. So it does give us a little bit of time. What Indiana has historically done is when they roll out a new diploma, they'll say, well, anybody can do that. Once they've got it rolled into, a freshman class. That's more of what I'm a little concerned about, because I'm not sure we would be very prepared for some of those other courses if we had to suddenly implement them next year. Okay. All right. Renovation updates. This is the aquatics classroom. We are hoping that will be up and ready to go by the end of next week. And so they'll be able to use that. They did start swim practice tonight, so that's exciting. We've had to, it takes a little time to get all those chemicals balanced. I'm just saying that. We got the thumbs up from the health department, so we are open to swim. Like I said, they started practices. They will be able to utilize this space, and there's also 2 restrooms that they will be able to utilize here, like I said, by the end of next week. So making some progress there. The expected completion time for everything in the aquatics is November 15th. So this is the pass-through. One of the suggestions that we had, particularly for parents of young kids that are taking swim lessons, is to be able to have that pass-through that would go under the spectators, where the spectator seating. So it just goes straight through out to the pool deck. There are a couple of restrooms in there, and gosh darn it, a couple of drinking fountains, because believe it or not, the drinking fountains in the pool were not working for a long time. So now we have 2 active and working water fountains. Well, maybe not yet, but soon. So the pass-through, I think, will be super nice, particularly for those kids that are in swim lessons. I also think there'll be a lot of value when we host competitive swim meets to be able to access the pool deck and to utilize that a little better. This is one of the bathrooms. There's no light in there right now, so I apologize for the darkness of the picture. Omni is busy installing lights as we speak. So we did, as we've done with the other locker rooms, we did reuse many of our previous lockers. These will be electrostatically painted, a lovely Tipton blue. That'll probably be in the next couple of weeks. And so honestly, a lot of our lockers are in really great shape. We're able to save some money, but still have some nice lockers. And these would be more for for PE or visitors lockers. for competitions. We did end up getting new lockers for the athletic. These are actually a plastic coated locker. One of the issues that we have with the air and everything else that's going on with the chemicals in the pool, they do oxidize and do weird things. This will prevent, the plastic coating on these will prevent that from happening. So we did end up getting new lockers for both the girls and boys athletic lockers. This is the media center. I was going to take a lot of pictures of the media center, but they brought in a whole bunch of boxes and that had casework and everything in them. So these were the two spaces where I could actually get in and take a decent picture. So these are the two spaces, the small conference rooms that are available for our students. There will be TVs in both of these rooms, obviously windows, so you can view what kids are doing in those rooms. But again, just providing that opportunity for small group space for our students to use while they're collaborating on projects and different things like that.
And that's where the old front office, in the high school was.
That is correct. That is where the old administration
Is
offices
that the
were.
airlock there on the right that we're coming in opposite? You turn to your right if you're coming in?
Yes.
That's like the old entrance.
Yes. All right. I don't know why sorry, I didn't take that out. But anyway, that was from an old slideshow. But anyway, what's new for 23 and 24? Who knows? Anyway, so that's the information about the renovation. And like I said, things are moving forward. I'll be super glad when it's all done. so, seems like it's been a long process. Yeah.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions after reviewing our board agenda? Advisory committees will discuss that at the end of our agenda for the regular board meeting. At this time, we will take comments from the community. Tonight, we have one, Laura Satan.
I'm like you, the JAG program, it sounds too good to be true, I'm sorry. But just from a parent perspective, I just had a few questions, and I know you probably won't answer, but if someone could get back to me, or maybe I need to direct them to Mr. Leach, but with the curriculum, since it's like an outside place coming in and doing the education, my understanding is they control the curriculum, like the school has no control over that. Right? Like if you have
Go ahead and just say all your questions and I'll
I
make a
am.
note of them.
I'm trying to explain. So like, for why I'm asking that is because like if a college comes in and it's a college accredited course, like in the class, like their curriculum is in the class. I was just asking about that. And then also about the parent involvement, because I didn't hear any reference to like how parents are involved. Like, are they updated? Is it, a program where you're just mandated to go, or like how's the assessment process to screen the child and all of that kind of stuff? And furthermore, I think it's like an opportunity for, I guess we call it what, the non-English speaking student or the English learner student kind of thing. I didn't know if there'd be like an opportunity in that realm to also, since we've been talking about other avenues to utilize the JAG kind of thing, and just like the counseling services and things regarding like the trauma-based issues and things. I just was wanting more information on that. And I just had a quick question for the interview for the board applicant. That's strictly by the board, so is my understanding, or is there public input or not? I just was looking for more clarification on how that interview process works.
Yeah, thanks. I've made a note and we'll get back with you. Thank you so
All right,
much,
thanks.
Laura. Okay, with that, I adjourn our meeting. We'll begin our regular school board meeting at 6:30. like to call to order the Tipton Community School Corporation regular school board meeting.
Where's your gavel?
Yeah.
It's back at home, above my door for protection. Call to order.
A little rowdy today, kids. A little rowdy.
All right, I'd like to start, we'll begin with the Pledge of Allegiance and our vision statement led by Rob Cochran.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
growing in
Empowered, future-ready students who are prepared for a lifetime of opportunity and success. Okay, thank you, Rob. All right, next on our agenda is an opportunity for the board to just talk a little bit about things they've noticed around our school corporation. What can you tell us? Tell me something good.
I wanted to talk about, just for a minute, the, a couple weeks ago, we had the Kyle Degler Memorial Football game against Trey Central and Tipton. It was a 7th and 8th grade combined game, and it was just a great success. Tipton did an amazing job hosting it. I think they really set the bar high, and I think the hope is that maybe we can continue that like they do the Pilgrim Cup for basketball. But there were silent auction items, food truck, bounce houses, and it was really well attended, and it was just a great event. I think with the timing of things, of events, can really dictate the success. And originally, I think the timing was supposed to be at 10 a.m. in the morning. And there was some push to kind of have that later on in the evening so more people could attend. And I was told Mr. Jaworski was a driving force behind that, so thank you, because I think that really made the event successful. And it was just a great event, and I think Tipton should be proud, and hopefully, if we rotate locations, Tri Central can, like I said, we set the bar really high, and so hopefully they can continue that.
Love it. I would like to talk for a minute. Thank you for sitting up front, Mr. Gingrich. But I just, after reviewing just kind of the report on the cafeteria one, I like the enhanced report and how it looked. But I just wanted to say, I think it's really great how hard our cafeteria staff works, not only to serve our kids every day and what it takes. We have a lot of people to feed through here, but also I am impressed with all the things we're trying to do with the addition at the middle school of the deli bar. Am I saying that correctly? I think that's a great addition. I also just love seeing new entrees and just your efforts to try to improve what our kids are, food's a big deal, especially at my house. So anyway, so I think it's great, and thank you. Anybody else? Okay, with that, we will move on to our next item on the agenda, are comments from the community. We did not have any, so we will move on to approve our consent agenda items. Tonight for approval on our consent agenda is the approval of the agenda, the approval of minutes from September 10th, the board work session and the regular board meeting, and the September 24th public hearing. Approval of claims, payroll from September 13th and the 27th, and the October accounts payable claims. The approval of the personnel report for October. Approval of field trips, the Tipton High School 2025 Mexico trip and the Tipton High School Honors Physics Kings Island trip for next year. Lastly, the approval to accept donations. Just a huge thank you to Wolford Tree Service and Walsh Farms. They donated a large amount of lumber to the manufacturing, construction, and engineering at the high school, and we're just so thankful for that. So I need a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda items.
I move to approve the consent agenda.
Okay, does anyone have any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Get it over my microphone. Okay, on our personnel report tonight, we do not have anything under our certified staff. Under classified staff, we have the resignation of Bianca Stull as our IT assistant director, and Jenna Toll as a cafeteria employee at the high school. By recommendation, Gretchen Jones is a third shift custodian at the elementary school, Alyssa Phillips as a special ed paraeducator at the elementary school, and Holly Brannon as the business office assistant, at the corporation admin, and Justin Laney as the IT assistant at the elementary school. For temporary assignment, we have Kenny Day, and he's changing bus routes. And then lastly, for ECA staff, a recommendation of Shaylee Davis as the color guard coach at the high school, and Boyce Nichols as the wrestling coach at the middle school. Okay, next on our agenda is superintendent's report.
Okay, we're just gonna move on to our Blue Future Awards. So, oh, do you have that? Okay, awesome. We'll start with the Blue Future Award. So, Mr. Ayers, if you would like to go first. We try to mix it up a little bit so elementary or high school doesn't have to go first.
There we go. Okay, so I'm gonna be the most lonely Blue Future presenter ever tonight because only one of the people, and I'm about to name like 30 people, is here. Okay, so the reason that the first group is not here, my first group for Blue Future is our 7th grade volleyball team, who just won whoop whoop their MIT tournament a couple weekends back. Yeah, so round of applause for everyone. So they're not here tonight because their season is still in action. They're at Maconaquah playing against the Lady Giants. I have a feeling that's where Ms. Rodabaugh is this evening, probably going into Port Caroline there. So they ended up playing against Logansport that day, ended up playing against Western for the final. You'll notice Tipton has never been on the traveling trophy, so kind of excited to be able to have
Very
that on.
good.
You got some pictures here from kind of their season. One thing that I think is really exciting about our volleyball program at the middle school is that we don't have any volleyball programs prior to this year. That's kind of typical actually for schools our size. So to have our girls after just one season get to the point that they were winning against, Logansport and Heights are schools that are bigger. They have, I think that's a real testament to the fact that these girls grow a lot over the course of this over the season. It's exciting to see a couple of games that I went to. They just grown so much. It's really incredible. The coach for the team, Kelsey Mitchell, is obviously one of our Tipton Blue Devils, teaching down in the elementary. So it's exciting to be able to have that. I also want to make sure that I say all of the girls' names. So in order of the picture that you see down there at the bottom left, we've got Aaliyah Doan, Stella Smith, Malia Perrin, Mia Moss, Molly Clark, Caroline Rodabaugh, Brianna Bannon, Abigail Westner, Maya Nickum, Ella Nelson, Caitlin Crothers, Kenzie Boylan, Courtney Fernun, Olivia Ogden, and Chloe Hale. A big round of applause for our secretary. So I guess we'll just get a picture of the slide, right? The second group that I have, again, I'm the loneliest guy. I only have one person representing that group, Mrs. Cole. If you could say that for me, come on up, okay? It's not just Mrs. Cole, it's also the rest of the 6th grade team. I wanted to make sure that I honored them this evening. As you guys know, we're getting close to the end of our first quarter. And our 6th grade team does some interesting work. And so just to kind of name them, Lindsay Cole obviously teaches social studies. Matt Boyd teaches science. He's not here this evening because he is sick. Missy Henry, who teaches math. She obviously used to be up at the high school, but is now down here at the middle school. She's not here because she is coaching volleyball for the high school. And then Mrs. Byers wishes she could be here. She has 2 twin kids just over the age of 1. Her night is much less exciting, more exhausting than just being here and listening to us talk here. So, real talk about the 6th grade, okay? About middle school in general. Let's be honest. Middle school is not an easy time for most of us. I have a feeling that if most of us thought what our best years of our life were, very few of us would say those years, right? They can be very difficult. Onset of puberty is difficult. There's a lot of responsibilities for kids. Sometimes they make good choices, sometimes they make poor choices. A lot of new opportunities means that kids are navigating new social structures. And in the middle of all that are our incredible educational professionals at the middle school. The number one thing I hear from people when I say that I work at the middle school is, I could never do that. And these people choose to do it every single day on the front line, right? I have been just incredibly impressed, especially adding in 2 teachers on our 6th grade team. But Mrs. Cole, how long have you been at the middle school? Over 10 years, right? Yeah. And every single day she comes to school and she helps kids navigate what is truthfully an incredibly difficult time of life. They do it with such amazing skill. Parent-teacher conferences are coming up on Friday, but I even just today I had a conference with them, the parent literally began crying, feeling that their child is being seen as well as the teacher. So I wanted to make sure that we honor honor that. Mrs. Cole is accepting this on behalf of the whole team, but I'll make sure to get it for everyone. Let's give our picture team a round of applause.
Okay, I'm going to stand in for Mr. Leach. He's either at soccer or at volleyball. So anyway, I won't do as well as he does. I'll try really hard. Okay, our first Blue Future honoree is Butler. Come on up, Miss. Tell you what, she is one tough kid. My goodness, very compact, but a tough kid. So yeah, I'm just amazed. So anyway, this is what Mr. Beach wrote about. Okay, junior Josie Butler advanced all the way to the Athletic Association Girls Golf State. Josie finished and tied for 42nd place, shooting a plus 23 over the two-day contest. Sorry about that. Her journey started by advancing from sectionals as an individual, turning in a score of 82. At regional, Josie shot a 76 at Edgewood and was the only individual from our regional to advance. The athletic performance is obviously a huge deal because it's not easy to make it at that level of golf, especially coming from one of the toughest sectionals in the state. However, that makes Josie extra special as she represented Tipton High School and Tipton Community Schools on such a big stage. Josie received the exemplary behavior report and received a sportsmanship pin for her attitude at the finals tournament. Congratulations, Josie Lowe. I'll tell you what, this girl, very compact, but my gosh, can she hit the ball? It is amazing to watch that. I was just, of course, okay, I'm like the world's worst golfer, and that's not surprising to anyone, but I was amazed at how well you hit that ball and how straight you hit that ball.
You're okay.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Turn to your seat, ma'am. Turn to your seat.
Okay, you're good. Oh.
Okay, the next honoree is our EV Grand Prix team. So I believe we have Parker and Rowan.
Yes.
Come on up, guys. Mr. Case was unable to be here. Again, the EV Grand Prix is a very new thing that we're doing, and man, these guys are just rocking it. So very well done. So Mr. Case and the EV Go-Kart team has been recognized before as part of the Blue Future Awards. We continue to recognize their hard work because of how quickly the team has grown competitively. This group has continued to lean into the challenge and is creating a program that is set up for the next group of E-double racers and our next generation. This year, the first test and tune was held at Whiteland Raceway, and students got a first-hand experience with the new lithium batteries. They're a lot heavier, but man, they make that car go fast. The team was able to win the exhibition race at the event. At the second test and tune at Purdue, the team made rocket changes that increased the top speed, which led them to finish second in a 12-lap exhibition. The two tests and tunes led to a lot of positivity going into the Grand Prix race. At the Grand Prix, there were 3 exhibition races, and Tipton crew put up the second fastest lap of the day. Now understand, you're competing against what kind of students? Literally schools that have one class that would be able to or car.
the team started second during the final race, but unfortunately spun out due to the slower cars. They didn't have it. Parker fought back and got us a fifth before the chain broke. And on the race day, it was kind of all over at that point. Okay, we want to recognize Mr. Case and this awesome team for their finishing position, but and for all of their super hard work and time and effort that it's taken to develop this program. They came in during our professional development day, and we had to get a couple of new things, matters, different things like that. They did the work all day long. So once again, this is a great program for kids to be part of. Totally thrilled that they're so successful. And we'll now take a picture. Congratulations, guys.
Good job.
So much. Can I trust you guys? Yeah.
Right.
All right. Okay. Good. Thank you, guys.
All right, this month, we'd like to recognize two of our staff members. If you want to see some magic happen, in the morning from about 7:40 to 8:05, like Mr. Cochran does every Friday,
It is magic.
come to the elementary office. Because it is busy, but needs are getting met and phones are being answered and parents are getting their questions answered and so forth. And if you've ever been in a school office, elementary or any level, you know the secretaries play one of the most important roles in the school. You got to know the secretaries and the custodians whenever you're in school, and if you know those two people and are on their good side, then you're pretty much set. So we have two amazing secretaries at the elementary that any day that you come in, you may see them working with the student, talking with the parent, talking with one of us, talking with teachers, meet teachers' needs, and just 1,000 other things that we probably don't even see. So we just appreciate Jen Cox and Deb Coon so much because they do an amazing job at the elementary and want to recognize them. Come on up.
Oh, yeah, you go in the middle.
Yeah.
Great job.
These pictures will be in the Daily Planet tomorrow.
At this time, if you were recognized tonight and you would like to leave, we want to give you the opportunity to not have to sit through the rest of our meeting.
I don't know why people do that. They always want to leave.
But feel free.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much for coming. Okay. Next on our agenda is our spotlight on schools, and we will have also our, / strategic plan update. And tonight, Mr. Jaworski is going to be that update for us.
Okay. Good evening. Again, Dr. Blaze asked me to present a little bit today, giving an update on our strategic plan. It's only been about a month that we've really fully been implementing it. So now it's good as time as any to give a little update. We'll start with attendance. So again, our strategic plan specifically states that by the end of the 26-27 school year, that's 3 years from now, 80% of all TCSE students will attend school at least 94% of the school year, right? That's at the end of 3 years. So kind of short-term goal is at the end of this year, we're shooting for 74%. Think back a couple years ago, we were at about 65% attendance rate of 94% or better. Again, that was like a third of our student population is not hitting that 94% mark. Last year, we put in a few changes as far as administrative procedures go, and we got that up to about 69%. So about a 4 to 5% jump right there. So that's why this next year, 74%, another 4 to 5% jump is what we're hoping to get. Again, that long-term goal being 80%. So how do we measure success? What are we actually tracking to make sure that we're on pace? And if we're not on pace, what are we doing to make adjustments? We look at the 5 absence count, 10 absence count, students who are at that 94% mark or better, daily attendance rates, chronic absenteeism, and habitual truancy, and then any kind of correlation that we can find between attendance and achievement. That usually comes around the springtime with those state assessments back. Looking at this graph, this is our 5 absences, students who have, percentage of students who have at least 5 absences so far this school year. Tricky thing about attendance and collecting data and all this, this is as of, I believe, 30 or 34 days of the school year this particular data is pulled from. All the data I have, it varies based off whatever source I'm pulling from. So we get some of it from our own SIS Power School. Some of it is given the official blessing by the state. So depending on where I'm able to get this information, that's kind of where that comes from. In any case, as you can see, we already have more students at each building missing 5 or more days this year compared to last year. Not ideal. Again, that varies year to year. That's going to change year to year, I'm sure. As far as early absences go, we'd like to take as much advantage of these early months as possible because weather's good. Illness is usually down about this time of year compared to January and February. At the same time, a lot of times people want to take advantage of the good weather. Maybe they take an extra day here or there. Some of those things kind of out of our control of the district. When we look at the 10 plus absences, again, kind of the same story here. More this year than last year, but again, you're looking at like a percentage point or so. So this might be 3, 4, 5 students, something like that, difference this year compared to last year. Again, trending higher than we were previous year. Overall, though, when you look at that 94% rate, while the students who are missing multiple days, like 5 to 10 days, overall, we're actually doing better towards our 95% attendance rate than we were last year. Now, that's a very small percentage difference between the two, so I'm not like staying on the rooftop shouting, but at the same time, it is better than last year. So we'll celebrate that for what it's worth. Looking at this particular graph, I know it's impossible to read. It's just how the graph looks. So just kind of take it from a bird's eye view here. This is our chronic absenteeism and habitual truancy. You can barely see habitual truancy. Habitual truancy is where you've missed 10%. Where you missed 10% of the school year altogether. So that would be missing 18 days of school. There's not that many people who miss 18 days, but there are a couple in our district. Again, those are ones that we are having our administration looking closely into. As far as the chronically absent, that is based off of 10% of the school year to date. So in this particular case, if you've only been in school 10 days, you miss 1 day, congratulations, you're chronically absent. Not really something we're concerned about early in the year. That's why you see a big jump every 10 days. It drops back down because if I miss the first day of school and I attend the next 9 days, I'm chronically absent. When I get to that 11th day, I'm no longer chronically absent. So again, we try not to worry too much about the chronic absenteeism early in the year. That tends to get closer and closer to that limit, which in this case is for us between 10 to 11% is roughly where that's converging at. So again, we're just keeping an eye on that. One thing I wanted to mention, that's kind of the negative stuff, right? Who's missing a quote unquote significant amount of time. Positive things, perfect attendance wise, over 39 days, 27.78% of our elementary has perfect attendance. Our middle school and high school around 40-41%, and as a district, about 35% of our students have that perfect attendance. I didn't necessarily track perfect attendance really closely last year. There's a lot of different new data points I was monitoring, so this is kind of setting the standard for what does perfect attendance look like over the course of the year, and something we'll monitor going forward. This fun chart is our daily average absence, or the absence rates. So again, kind of hard to read, but essentially what you're looking at here is anywhere from 5 to 7%, well, really it's 2 to 7% absence rate. So as a district, the blue is the excused absence rate, the red is the unexcused absence rate. Again, unexcused is really where it's the didn't get a call in, kid didn't show up to school, we don't know 100% know where that kid is, we have to call and find out where those kids are at. So again, that is telling us roughly how many students are out each day. One thing I wanted to note, and something we've already had a conversation as the admin team, the day with the most absence, the 19th day, that happened to be September 5th. And if you're familiar with September 5th, that happened to be the Thursday of Pork Festival. We had a lot of kids out on Pork Festival. So we've already had a conversation about ways we can combat that. No, we're not going to move Pork Festival, but there are some unique scheduling quirks we can use to work around that particular absence. Because again, that's something that, if I had to guess, probably a heavily missed day year over year. So we're gonna work around that. As far as this one, this is basically the same graph, but condensed to weekly instead of daily, so a little bit more digestible for you. As you can see, we start off really well. You know, each week, more and more kids are missing more and more time. We kind of peaked around that Pork Festival again, and attendance started getting a little bit better after that. So, again, we love the Pork Festival. I am not going to speak ill of the Pork Festival, but it does have an impact on attendance. When you look at us compared to our region, so one of the nice things the state has done, say that, one of the nice things they've done is they have provided us a little more information, a little more transparency, as they like to call it, with regards to attendance. So now we have access to see how attendance is looking across the state. So you can see where Tipton is. I made sure it was really obvious. We have the fifth. Now again, let me clarify about this graph. This is the percent of absence, percent daily absence average for each of these school districts. So Tipton, we are in the top 5 as far as best attendance-wise goes in our region. You got Frank's Lapel there at the top, and then all the way to the other end is Taylor. So again, really solid there. One thing I'm really proud of in particular is our unexcused absence. Again, nobody wants to have unexcused absences, but they do happen. As you see, every school district has them. You just want to try to minimize that as much as possible. Again, we have significantly less than a lot of other school districts. We're doing really well with that as well. So attendance overall, it's pretty solid. A few other curiosities I wanted to pursue when I was going through all this data. One is a breakdown by grade level. So again, starting on the far left is kindergarten, your youngest. Far right is our oldest, our seniors. Just a few things that jump out to me. One, obviously kindergarten has by far the most absences. Not altogether shocking. It happens. These families are very concerned about their little ones. Just getting to school, they're introduced to all those new germs. Again, a lot more issues with attendance in kindergarten. It's not something we panic about. It's also something that we would like to see because, again, one thing we like to have is for those K1, 2 kids, they are learning to read. And so getting that instruction, getting that time and exposure to reading is so critical. And so while we understand attendance issues might happen with those younger grades, it also, that hurts us the most because that's where those kids learn some of the most fundamental elements of reading and learning. So again, something we're going to monitor over the course of the year. One thing that kind of jumped out was grades 8 through 12 had a higher number of unexcused absences compared to the elementary. Again, something that we're going to kind of look into a little bit further with our admin team. Last bit of information, and I broke this down really just for my own sake. I was really curious as to which day of the week had the most absences, and to my surprise, it was actually Tuesday. Tuesday is the most missed day of the week. Would have guessed Friday or Monday, but it was Tuesday. Wednesday is our best day of the week as far as attendance goes. Again, these are very small percentage differences, so I'm not losing my mind about any of this. I just thought that was particularly interesting. So, again, just a few takeaways. No significant change from last year as far as attendance goes. Again, current attendance might have hit a limit as far as our strategies. And I think we're doing a good job, but how do we squeeze a little bit more out of that limit? And then historically, technically, it's our best quarter for attendance that I've been recording at least. And then we use this information to make decisions regarding what we're going to do about adjusting our calendar for the future, and obviously communicate with families. If we see a trend happening where there's more and more absences, that's an opportunity for us to communicate with families and know, hey, notice that there's an uptick in absences. Here's some tips about staying healthy, washing hands. All those different things kind of make sure your kids attend school. Questions on attendance? Because I could talk all day about it, but I do not want to burn on it. Again, you guys have access to that data sheet. I update that every Monday. You can review that at your leisure. As far as iLearn goes, real quick update on this. I know it wasn't, should say, yeah, it's the 23-24 year. So they gave us new science standards. And so they had to create a new cut score for the iLearn for our science standards. That includes biology. And they just this weekend released those scores. So, better late than never, I suppose. So just kind of give you a little bit of background on this. For our iLearn science goals, 4th grade, around 50% proficiency. Middle school, 6th grade, about 42% proficiency. This is all kind of based off of projections and growth that we've seen in the past. We're trying to see growth up, I think of those around 4 to 6% growth in each of those. For high school biology, you'll recall for the last 3 years, we've been around 14, 15% passing rate, something that we are very much interested in improving. We have a new biology teacher, Ashley Roberts. She came in, and I remember one of the first conversations we had, she had a goal of, let's get up to that 25%, right? Let's bump 10% more than we were before. Let's see some growth. And I said, that's great. Let's go for it. All in. When you look at your 4th and 6th grade science, I learned, again, we fell in right around the state average. 6th grade actually above state average. 6th grade actually saw a significant growth. We'll actually take a look at that here on the next slide. But again, at or above state average in both those grade levels. Over the last 4 years, this is the trend for each of those. 4th grade, kind of hovering in that mid 40% range. 6th grade, starting to see a little bit more incline or increase, I should say, over the last 4 years. Again, 16%, up 16% from last year's achievement. Science is a little bit harder to pin down simply because it's apples, oranges. It's a different cohort every year. It's not tracked as closely as math or reading. But again, that is our 4th and 5th grade. For biology, we were up to 41%. 41%, up from, I think last year was, as you can see here, 13%. So that is a significant jump. Something we are particularly proud of. I was fortunate enough to be able to deliver that news to our science department. They were ecstatic. They were all super excited for Ashley and the work that she's done. And this was just her first year teaching. So we know there's even bigger and better things coming forward for our students. Something we are very excited about. I think that graph, I don't need to talk anymore. That is awesome. Again, get up to state average from where we're at is a huge, huge leap. And again, so finally my last takeaways here. Biology rising dramatically. Again, that comes with changing standards. So it's new teacher, new standards, new tests, and we crushed it. That was fantastic. Again, state average increased 14%. We doubled that with our increase of 28%. So again, it's not just a test changing. There is something tangibly different about that class. 4th grade continues to hover around that state average. Again, they had to change their standards as well. We also adopted new curriculum this year. So again, we'll see what impact that has. Then finally, 6th grade made some significant improvements as well. Again, state average increased 4%. TCSC increased 4 times that. So again, not just simply a test change. So obviously you did better. We did better compared to the average growth. So, that's it for me. Any questions?
Thank you so much, Scott. That's awesome. So encouraging to hear. Okay, next in our agenda were department reports. Does anyone have any questions from those? Okay.
I would say maybe for food service, Taco Tuesday. Tuesday's a problem. Like, you guys could work together on
Taco
Oh,
attendance.
Tuesday.
I don't know.
I like that idea.
We got to figure something out about this Tuesday problem.
Right. I like that. Good idea.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, Brooke, financial report, please.
Thank you. For September, we ended with balances as follows: education, $872,074; operations, $714,690; debt service, $781,292; and rainy day, $2,076,992. We did make a transfer of $50,000 from education, the education fund, to support operations fund expenses. Education revenue exceeded expense by roughly $85,000 in September. Interest income was $37,888. I did hear from First Farmers on our interest agreement, which was due to expire November 1st, I believe. We were on a 2-year agreement. They are still willing to meet the Trust Indiana rate, but the difference will be, it'll be 1 basis point instead of 3. They just cite current market conditions with that, but we're excited for the partnership and appreciative of their support for us.
Thank you. Is that something that we approve? Is that something we have to?
I'm not
Maybe
sure
2
whether we
years.
approved that.
Okay.
I believe,
Okay.
that's something
Thank
we
you.
need to look at. Just so I have to look at it from
I just
2
can't
years
remember.
ago when we did that.
I
I
remember
don't
something
remember.
with First Farmers.
Yeah.
I remember what it was.
That may be. I don't remember.
I think that was new when we started. I remember discussions, but I don't remember if we
Yeah.
voted to do that or
I don't remember either, but I'll find out.
Rob remembers everything. Remember?
All I remember is in January, we voted to continue with them as our deposit.
Yes. I remember.
But I don't recall anything beyond that, so.
It's a good question.
Okay.
We'll find out. We'll let you know.
Okay,
yeah.
thank you. Okay, next is our old business, but we don't have any, so we'll move on to the new business. Tonight, we need to adopt our 2025 budget, capital projects plan, and bus replacement plan. The 2025 budget, capital projects plan, and bus replacement plan were presented last month during our work session and public hearing. After these plans and the proposed 2025 budget are adopted, the budget forms will be submitted to the Indiana Department of Local Government Finance via the Gateway portal along with the resolutions. In December or early January, the DLGF will provide our 1782 notice that will provide approved tax levies for the operation and debt service funds. Need a motion and a second to adopt these three items.
I move to adopt the 2025 budget, capital projects plan, and bus replacement plan.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions or comments?
I do have a question, and I'm sorry, I didn't notice this until right before we came. The bus plan keeps changing. Like last year, the one that I have that we
Oh.
approved had 7 buses, and now it has 8, and originally it was 12.
It's always, because we're always have to project out for 5 years. So it's always going to have
So we
additional.
passed this, but there's none in 25 now.
Right.
But the one we pass next year won't necessarily be what we passed this year.
Right.
Okay.
It's just one of those things left over from when there was an individual levy for bus replacement and capital projects. It's just kind of one of those dinosaurs.
We
that's
have
left
that
over.
money, and we'll spend it as we need it. This plan is just this year's best guess at how we'll need to spend it.
Essentially, although it's pretty well planned, I mean, we still have 3 buses to purchase with the GEO bond. So we will, in the next 3 years, we would purchase those. But we don't have any on the rotation to replace for next year.
Okay, I'm just trying to compare the Geo bond to this. And
Yeah. So primarily, it'll just be the GEO bond.
I know routes changed in enrollment, and we
Right.
had the bus that was
Right.
going far. I know all that. I'm just trying to
yeah.
figure out.
Yeah. And basically, it's just looking at, because we did reduce a route, so that has something to do with, how we're going to replace. And then also, instead of, we did buy the small multipurpose bus that we use for some sped transportation, so that's allowed us to not have as many miles on some of our larger sped buses. So that's also created some flexibility there.
Okay, just
No.
looking back.
Nope, that's great.
Any other questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, we need to approve the 2024-2025 contract between the Board of School Trustees of the Tipton Community School Corporation and the Tipton Education Association. On September 10th, 2024, the corporation convened a public hearing to announce the beginning of formal bargaining. On October 3rd, a public meeting was held to announce a tentative agreement to provide the details on the new contract with our community and provide an opportunity for public comment. Is there any public comment related to the ratification of the contract? Okay, then at this time, do I have a motion to ratify the 2024-2025 collective bargaining agreement between Tipton Community School Corporation and the Tipton Education Association?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, are there any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, we approve approved salary increases for the remaining staff. The collective bargaining agreement increases certified staff pay base by $2,000 plus a retention stipend of $500. It is proposed the same amounts are provided unless otherwise noted in the board packet to building level and district administration. In addition, it is proposed for a 2% increase to all hourly employees, plus the 6.5% increase to the corporation's contribution for health insurance. I need a motion and a second to approve the salary increases.
I move to approve the increase for remaining staff.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next on our agenda is a resignation from the Board of Trustees that we need to approve. On September 26, Jason Springer, representing the city of Tifton, submitted his resignation to the board president for his remaining term in office through December 31st, 2026. Do I have a motion to accept the resignation?
I move to accept the resignation.
Okay, any questions or comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed? Okay, just to have noted here, the vacancy will be filled within 30 days from the date the seat becomes vacant. Interested parties must complete and submit an application by noon on November 1st of 2024. They must participate in a public interview session led by the Board of Trustees the week of November 4th with potential appointment in the November 12th monthly board meeting. Applications are available at the central office starting tomorrow, October 9th, 2024.
Dr. Glaze, what would happen if no?
Well, that's a really good question. The law says that we have 30 days to put someone in there. There is the potential that we wouldn't have someone. We'll probably have to cross that bridge when we get to it. It's not exactly clear. We have to have another representative. It's not exactly clear what we would need to do at that point.
They have to live in the city district, right?
Correct. Yes.
Okay, next on our agenda is the approval for the JAG pilot. We heard about this in our work session tonight. Governor Holcomb and the Indiana General Assembly passed legislation for Jobs for America's Graduates. They would operate in every Indiana high school. JAG, in coordination with the Department of Workforce Development, is in the process of establishing chapters in as many high schools as possible by January 1st, 2025. The JAG program is at no cost to Tipton Community School Corporation. The corporation will have its own JAG representative who will perform duties explained earlier in the work session. In your packet is a sample partnership agreement for the remainder of the 2024-2025 school year. The agreement must be renewed annually. It is recommended the Board of Education allow the superintendent to sign this agreement in its final form to allow a pilot of the JAG program for the remaining 2024-2025 school year. I need a motion and a second to approve the pilot.
To approve the JAG pilot program.
I will second that.
Thank you. Any questions or comments? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Next, we need to approve the school improvement plans. Each year, we ask the Board of Trustees to approve our school improvement plans. These plans are submitted to the state. All three plans have been updated using Tipton Community School Corporation's 2024 to 2027 strategic plan. Thank you to our school improvement teams for their work on these documents. It is recommended the Board of Trustees approve these plans as written. Need a motion and a second to approve our strategic plans.
I move to approve the school improvement plan.
Are there any questions or comments? Okay. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Passes. Next, we need to declare some surplus from library books, materials, Inferno speakers, and high school classroom furniture. In preparing for the move to the high school media center, we're requesting that outdated nonfiction library books, materials, and equipment, as well as obsolete audiovisual equipment from the media center and the Inferno, and computers, speakers, audio equipment, television, CD, and VHS machines. People still have those? Sorry.
We do. Yeah, we
Be-
do.
be declared surplus. In addition, as we begin classroom furniture replacement in the high school, we will need to dispose of broken and unusable classroom furniture. As always, we will explore options to scrap or recycle these items if possible. It is recommended the board approve the declaration of surplus for these items. Need a motion and a second.
I move to approve the declaration of surplus items listed in the packet.
Thank you. Okay, any questions, comments? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Thank you for passing those. At this time, are there any other matters to come before the board? Okay. Upcoming advisory committees on October 14th is the Student Achievement Committee with Mr. Jaworski at 5:30. And then on our schedule of events, on October 10th, we have the end of our first 9 weeks with this Friday, the 11th, being parent-teacher conferences. Students will not attend on that day. October 16th and 17th is fall break.
We're missing a day, sorry. Yeah, it should be 15, 16, 17, 18.
16th, 17th, 18th, sorry.
Sorry about that.
That's okay. And then on November 1st, just a reminder that applications will be due for our school board vacancy. November 4th through the 8th is when we'll be interviewing board applicants, and then our next regularly scheduled monthly board meeting is November 12th. With that, I need a motion and a second to adjourn the meeting.
I move to adjourn the October meeting.
I will second that.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Have a good rest of your week.